Welcome to
The Get Together.
It's a show about the nuts and bolts of community building, and I am your host, Bailey Richardson. I'm a person at People & Company.
I'm another host, Kevin Huynh, also a partner at People & Company. I do a lot of our one-on-one coaching with community leaders.
Yep. And each episode, Kevin and I interview people who have built communities about just how they did it. How did they get the first people to show up? How did they grow to thousands more members? I'm going to introduce today's interview with a little quote. The more value you create, the more reward you'll have. That's by Wang, who is the founder of Instant Pot. More than 5.5 million people follow Instant Pot related accounts on Facebook. 1.5 million follow Instant Pot's official Facebook group alone, where they gush over the product and swap recipes as well as user tips. Not just that, the fandom extends offline. People make decals and they even knit sweaters for their Instant Pots.
Sweaters,
which are beautiful.
That's like
Google
sweaters
them.
going on Instant Pots. It's not like, well, there's probably an Instant Pot on a sweater, but we're talking about like a sweater for an Instant
There's probably
Pot.
both, absolutely.
Yeah, probably both. Maybe there's a sweater on an Instant Pot of an Instant Pot on the sweater.
Meta. Inception sweater pot. So in 2018, Instant Pots on Black Friday was the best-selling non-Amazon product on Amazon. And Walmart also reported that Instant Pot was their best-selling item in 33 states. More than that, we all know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been going live with her Instant Pot, tweeting out recipes. If you haven't heard of Instant Pot or the fandom, you've been missing out on something special. In this short episode with Robert, we're going to talk to him about what helped the company grow and the role that this rabid community of customers has played in that growth. Before jumping in, Kevin, what jumped out at you about our talk with Robert?
I believe that community building comes down to one big thing, and that's shared ownership. Shared ownership every single step of the way. You're trying to figure out how to do something, you figure out how to do it with your people rather than for them. And Robert, in so many ways with Instant Pot, has infused that kind of collaborative, community-minded approach into every aspect of how the Instant Pot company has grown. You know, like he's trying to build a great product. He brings people into the process. And even now they're posting like surveys on their Facebook groups about features and that really valuing that feedback. You're trying to provide customer support. Why don't you give ways for Instant Pot fans to connect with each other and support each other? And to me, just that theme of shared ownership and how that is threaded through so many of the actions of Instant Pot and the company and what Robert talks about is rad, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kevin's a mechanical engineer. My dad's a mechanical engineer.
Go
and
Meckies. This
product is like a 1 in a million, 1 in a billion kind of thing. And I think it's so refreshing. You'll hear this in the conversation. He's a problem solver. Like he's still excited about learning about new use cases and getting inspiration from people using the product about what they're using it for and what they might build the next version of Instant Pot to solve or to serve. And I think that mindset of helping people with their problems and seeing himself in that role is just like really refreshing. And I can see how people continue to just be delighted by what Instant Pot does for them. They totally over-deliver because of that mindset. So great. All right. Well, with that, we're going to jump in. We'll start our story with Robert driving around Ontario. Robert?
I was traveling between the cities in Canada, specifically Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto. Between the cities, Montreal is about 2 hours, depends on the traffic, or sometimes 2.5 hours away. And Toronto is 4 to 5 hours away. So I did quite a few of that. We did manage to get a few offline brick and mortar stores, small ones. I would call them specialty stores to carry our product. One typical example was that I got someone in Montreal to agree to take Instant Pot, and he asked for 5 units. So I drove over there 2.5 hours and then back home 2.5 hours. And it took them over a month to clear that 5 unit. So those are the hard lessons I learned. I didn't think the product wasn't popular in the market. Now, I think the problem was really those stores have limited coverage. which is normally a store serve a 30-kilometer radius. It's an innovative product. People won't be going into offline brick and mortar stores to look for it. They haven't heard of it, right? So the best way to let people know is really online. And at the time, there are quite a few online channels, Amazon being one, eBay, Wayfair, Newegg, you're in the high-tech space. So we tried them all, but the audience are actually very different. So eBay audience are really looking for a bargain, and comments about purchase are really comments about the seller, not the product. Right? And Newegg, Wayfair, they are not having the scale as Amazon. So we eventually just focus on Amazon only. Right? So that's how Instant Pot got started. And we eventually, thinking back, I think the strategy really makes sense. Number one, we get national coverage, sometimes international, because people from U.S. Army base all over the world, they order from Amazon and they have a power adapter to use it in foreign countries. So coverage is what we got. Number two, we got customer feedback. On Amazon, as you can see, there are tons of reviews on Instant Pot and of course on other products as well. Those are most valuable feedback to us because our business model is very much understanding the problem that people have and then fix the problem for them. We may not be able to do it right in the first round. So we will do the second round and then the third, the fourth. So we've been following every 12 to 18 months, we introduce a new version of Instant Pot. And this has been the strategy of the company. We really, really want to solve the problem for people and solve it right. We listen to them. Right? So that's why we need lots of feedback from them.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you more about the feedback and dig in a little bit to that. Some of the features I've learned more about that you've developed for Instant Pot, and I understand how amazing it is to think about applying your electrical engineering PhD and an AI mind to making food. So we can get into that in a second. But I do want to ask you, there's still this period of you're driving around, knocking on doors, and then you put the Instant Pot online, and a few places it doesn't take off, but on Amazon, it really takes off. I mean, you have something in the 40,000 number of reviews, and you're the best-selling non-Amazon product on the website now. But how did you get the first customers on Amazon, or who were those people? Who were the people that kind of took a risk on you in the beginning, or how did you find those folks?
I have to tell you that we didn't do anything apart from listing the product over there. So don't try to imagine that I'm super expert, knows everything. No, I didn't. Right? So we got to online because of desperation. I'm just being bluntly honest with you, because the offline brick and mortar just doesn't work. The volume will not support the business at all. Right? One store, 5 to 10 units a month, there's just no way. Right? So we were pretty desperate to get online. I don't consider myself an expert on online selling either. We were really learning along the way. So when we listed on Amazon, there are very few electrical pressure cookers. It's an innovative product. People won't be going into offline brick and mortar stores to look for it. Haven't heard of it, right? So the best way to let people know is really online. So back when we started the company, when we decided the Instant Pot brand registered domain, we have actually putting a ton of content over there, talking about the design philosophy, the benefits, the advantages, and all the thinking behind it, because electrical pressure cooker at the time was very, very new. So we built normally people call it a authority site for electrical pressure cooker. And I remember back in 2010, 2011, instantpot.com was number one Google search when you search for electrical pressure cooker. And when you search for multi-cooker, we are number one or number two. And sometimes we have a second listing because we talk about the history of pressure cooking, the whole thing. You probably can see many of those content still available on our website. In some way, this is the best approach of SEO. So at the time when we started adding listing on Amazon, eBay, we simply put the links on our website. I think we get a few hundred visitors a day, thanks to the SEO to our website. If they want to understand the product, we have a ton of content over there. And if they want to make a purchase, we refer them to Amazon, to Wayfair, to Newegg. So I think that would be the success factor for us, because people researching electrical pressure cooker, they read the content, which is really helpful, and they decide to try it. And there's the link taking them to Amazon.
At what point you also sent out, I've read, a few hundred free devices to food bloggers that you identified, perhaps personally, who had large followings or celebrity chefs, to get the product in the hands of people who have their sort of own audiences. At what point did you do that? And can you tell me about how you chose those people or the way in which you reached out to them? Because I can imagine getting an Instant Pot mailed to your doorstep could be a little intimidating, and making sure that, those folks actually felt comfortable or incentivized to try out your new device. How did you do that, and when did that come into the picture?
We were only thinking about word of mouth, keeping the customer happy, making sure you build the best product, and making sure customers are taken care of. The influencer marketing really wasn't on the agenda in the first 2 or 3 years. And the first bloggers, they actually approached us, and they discovered Instant Pot on Amazon. And those people are really health coach, cooking instructors. They have their own business. For example, one of them is Chef AJ. I think she wrote a book called Unprocessed. If you search for Chef AJ, you will be able to find her. And she teach plant-based diet regimen in classes, according to her, something like 200, 300 people in a big class, right? And one problem that she had was that her student couldn't carry through her teaching afterwards because they don't have time to really carrying that out. If you follow a plant-based diet regimen, you need protein. Where do you get protein? You can't get it from lettuce, celery, carrots. You get it from beans. And beans are actually rather difficult to cook. You normally have to soak them, I think probably 3 to 8 hours, and then cook them for another 4 hours-ish, just to make sure the beans are completely cooked and break down, easier for digestion. Right? So she discovered Instant Pot. And she realized we can cook beans much faster than the conventional approach. You don't need to do the soaking anymore. You simply put the dry beans in the cooker, and within 45 minutes, it's done. Right? So that way, her student can carry out her teaching of a plant-based diet regimen. Right? So that's why she approached us, saying that you have a great product. I love to use that as the default tool in her teaching. And do you mind supporting us that way? So at the time, we never paid people for doing this. What we really did was to help those bloggers to do their work better, right? To help them to do what they want to do. So when Chef AJ travels to different cities to teach a large class, she would write to us and saying, I'm teaching a class in Denver, could you send a sample Instant Pot over there so that I can use that for demo? And after the class, I'll rough it off. Perfect, right? So that's exactly what we did. We work with quite a few bloggers, instructors, coach. All of them are in the healthy diet domain, right?
Yeah, I love that story, because we always think about how can you build something with a group of people. And it's so clear to me there are so many stories of people who have written cookbooks or done courses like you're explaining, or created their own Facebook Instant Pot pages. But as Instant Pot has grown, their reach or their capacity has grown. And I think that's such an incredible relationship to have with customers, and not a normal one by any means.
Right. Right?
My dad bought an Instant Pot just to cook beans.
All right.
Sole purpose
Sure.
of cooking beans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert, I wanted to make sure to ask you as well with our remaining time. I believe you told Inc. magazine, you have this great quote. You said, "I don't think there's much secret. Get the product right, treat the customer well, and then get them talking. And that's it." And that really landed on us because absolutely you can't grow a bad product. You have to educate consumers. You have to make sure that you are there for them. But that final piece of getting them talking to one another is something that feels very obvious to us as community practitioners, but very non-obvious to almost everyone else. And you are an electrical engineering PhD. You know exactly how this machine works. You can handle all of the technical side, but you also had that insight to connect customers to each other. Can you tell me about how you knew to do that? Where did that instinct come from, or what motivated you to understand the power of connecting your customers to one another?
When we started, the company was called Double Insights. And we were believing that we know a lot of insights. One is the Western market. The other is the manufacturing process in China. So by bringing that up, what I meant is that we really pay attention to those insights. One key insight to me is that cooking is not a solitary practice. It's very much a social practice.
Yeah.
You cook for your family, you cook for your friends, you throw a party. If you make a dish which is really good, you will brag about the tool. Making a meal is 3 times a day, even more sometimes. Practice, right? So we have a very good chance to get a word of mouth going. And in fact, I wasn't looking at online at the time. I remember there was a book by Jonah Berger, Contagious. And he cited research numbers saying, I'm not entirely sure about the number, but about 7% of the word of mouth happens online. 93% of that, of course, is happening offline. It's in the party, beside the water fountain. I think it was 2015. We have introduced our 4th generations of Instant Pot. And we have got maybe close to 100,000 reviews. You don't see them all because every time we introduce a new version, you lose the older version because the product is replaced by the new one, and Amazon won't list those reviews anymore. Right? So we're getting lots of feedback from our consumers, but our support team was growing like uncontrollably in order to handle the number of phone calls and tickets, as we call it. Right? So we wanted to use the social media to facilitate some of those conversations. And I'm sure that you're familiar with the crowdsourcing concept, right? So we're basically asking our consumers to help each other so that we can lighten the burden on our customer support team. Right? I was thinking, hey, we got to create some social media thing. And I have to say, I wasn't expert on Facebook either. So I thought I got to find help. So I actually found a consultant who was a fan of Instant Pot. So I approached her saying that we want to do some social media work. Could you come and help us? And, she was really happy to help us. And she was, Instant Pot was one of her passion as well. So that's how the official Instant Pot community was created.
And how did you decide on a page? One thing I heard was you decided you're thinking about an email marketing strategy, and also, a Facebook group is very different from a Facebook page. A page is usually kind of an advertising mechanism, and a group is connecting people. So how did you boil that decision down?
Right. So we had a Facebook page a long time ago. I think it's probably 2010 or maybe earlier. It's just do something in the social media, but without a very clear strategy. So in 2015, we were thinking that we need more communication between the customers. Now, before 2018, we didn't have a newsletter at all. Right? That was because that I thought that was too much interface in marketing. Right? And the objective was really to get customers and the new customers and non-customers to talk about it. For that needs, email marketing won't work, right? And a Facebook page won't work because they are putting comments rather than talking to each other. So a Facebook group seems to be the best choice. So that's how the Instant Pot official community was created.
How has the role of how you see this community changed since 2015 when you launched a group for, in many reasons, support reasons? How do you think about the passionate users of Instant Pot now? Has that changed at all? Is it the same?
It's more or less the same. We have 6 or 7 moderators. So you probably can see them on the Facebook group. And their objective is to facilitate the communication, right? And they've been playing the role of customer support as well. They will try to provide help to the users. Something additional that we did in the group was to use that to do surveys for new designs. We know most of them are actually Instant Pot users. We love to hear their view. So we often post a simple survey, and within a day or so, we get 6,000-7,000 response, which was really, really helpful to us. Mm-hmm. I am actually really happy with our community that we achieved the goal that our users and new users, old users, non-users are talking about their experience with Instant Pot. We gather those unusual use of Instant Pot. Many of them that's, we never ever thought about it, including things like people use Instant Pot to soften popsicle sticks so that they can use that to make art project and one lady has green finger and she plants outdoor, but over winter, all she can do is to plant in-house. Right? And the soil she got has some eggs of some bugs, and bugs coming out from the soil, which is not pleasant at all. So her solution was to put the soil inside the Instant Pot and run the pressure cooking and kill all those. So there are just many such examples. We actually gather them, put them in a PowerPoint, and share with all the employees, learning that how much our users love Instant Pot and their creative use of Instant Pot is really a driving force for us.
I love that. Oh, well, that's a great way to end our time with you, Robert. Thank you for taking the time. And we talk about you behind your back in the business you built so positively. So thanks for talking with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure talking to you. Bye-bye.
If you want to grab an Instant Pot, Kevin does not own one. Busted, but Kai and I do.
Oh, I don't own one personally. No.
Yeah, Mom
has one. My brother has one. My dad has one.
Okay, yeah. Slow motion for me.
I don't have room yet in the kitchen, but there's got to be room for you can be a fan and not own one yet.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I'm not trying to pressure you. Sorry, that came off that way. But if you want to scope them out, you can visit their website, instantpot.com. If you want to just straight buy one, go to Amazon, leave that review. You can also check out their Facebook group, which has been described as the kindest place on the internet. Their username is, it's facebook.com/group/instantpotcommunity. One word, Instant Pot Community.
Cool. Find out more about us, Kevin, Bailey, Kai, at peopleand.company. We're writing a book. It's called Get Together. It'll be published later this year and has more stories like this one you heard from Robert. It's a guide to cultivating a community based on what we've learned from conversations like this with lots of community leaders, organizers, and passionate community participants. Sign up on our website to get notified and for other goodies in between now and then. You can also say hi to us at any moment. Say hi at peopleand.company. That's the email, hi@peopleand.company.
Word. And last thing, if you're here, if you're still hanging on, if you feel like reviewing us on the old podcast store or just clicking subscribe, if you're tempted to do that,
do those things.
Yeah, do it. It means something. Totally affects us.
Just subscribe.
Cool. All right. See you next time.